Everybody, it's me again. How's everybody? I hope everybody is safe and happy and healthy. And man, the weather's starting to clear up. It looks like it's going to be super hot this weekend. And I know we're all going to be tempted to go out there and do something silly, but let's do the best we can to try and keep our cool. I'm bringing you today an interview that I did with a really dear friend of mine. His name is Jim Rosenquist, and Jim is a insurance agent that specializes in helping seniors. So, right now, with as crazy as it is, I thought it would just be the most apropos to try and bring some valuable contacts to all of my friends and family and clients that could help you during these trying times. Jim is a super solid guy. I've known him for, going on 5 years now. And just one of the nicest, most decent guys you'd have to meet. And I'm excited to introduce you to him. So, with that said, don't push stop yet. Here's my friend Jim. Um, I'm back, and I have with me a very special guest. The gentleman that you see on this split screen right now is a friend of mine. His name is Jim Rosenquist.
Hey,
And
Bear.
Jim, hey, say hi. Jim is a Medicare specialist, and I got to tell you guys, I mean, I was just telling him earlier that, when I was young, I got into selling insurance. I was about 24 years old, and I just failed miserably at it because I thought I was 7 feet tall and bulletproof. There was just a lot about, being my age now that I just couldn't wrap my head around. And I've known Jim for quite some time now, just a super solid guy. And I've seen Jim go out of his way to help friends of mine that are, of retirement age, really not expecting anything back other than just helping them. So he's got just a ton of great information that I wanted to share with you guys. We're going to try and limit it a little bit because I know all of you don't have, a ton of time. But Jim, first of all, why don't there's a few things that we were just talking about earlier that, related to seniors. First of all, is that, when they hit age 65, it's super important that they look at their Medicare options because they may still be working at 65 and have insurance. But why don't you share with our friends here what you were telling me earlier?
Sure. You know, uh, when I was a financial advisor, I always thought about, all the things that, are kind of the fun stuff when you retire. You're saving for your 401k so you can take vacations and stuff like that. But I didn't really think about the cost stuff at first, and they don't really focus on that in financial advising school. They kind of focus in on annuities and stocks and mutual funds and stuff like that. And the cost side is very important. Um, it's always been important to me. I don't know why I didn't think about it, while I was doing my studying for financial advisor. But the cost has always been really important to me, especially when you're retired and you're on a fixed income. You need to keep that cost down. Every penny you can save there is going to help increase the money that you can use as far as revenue.
Sure.
So I think thinking about cost before you retire is very important. And health costs in particular are, as you get older, your health becomes a little bit uh, not so good. And so you really end up paying a lot more of your budget towards that healthcare portion as you start paying off your mortgage or using a reverse mortgage through Barry or a loan officer like Barry. Then your budget's kind of moves over towards that health aspect because that's where some of the expense ends up. So as you reach or you're getting towards that age 65, number one, you want to become a little bit more familiar with Medicare. And then number two, once you get over 65, especially the first 5 or 6 years, you want to review that on a regular basis to make sure that you're all set up, for the future with your Medicare.
Yeah, man, you just really nailed an emotional part of me, Jim, which is, I mean, I've never been who reads the iTunes, a user agreement, right? We all just click, yes. I mean, most of us, even especially, when we get a little older, we don't want to get caught in the minutia of it. We just want to know that whatever it is that we're getting, that first of all, it's legitimate and that it's the best thing for us. um, I can tell you the majority of my clients never read the entire purchase or the loan, the final loan application. They're just trusting that I have done that for them, or that my company has got their best interest at heart. And it's amazing to me, how many seniors wind up, they get Medicare and they don't really understand all of the nuances for it, which is exactly why they need somebody like you. This is your job to really, pick out all of the reasons why a certain, particular product might be the best for them, or why maybe they might want to stay with what they have. So, it's a super important part. So, the other thing we were talking about is we were talking about, the different costs for pharmaceuticals that they might need, medications that they might need, and how having, an added benefit with or plan with you might really help them out. Why don't you share that with the story that you were telling me about a little earlier?
Well, a couple mistakes that people make when they're going into Medicare is, one, they think, well, I got Medicare, but I don't really need the drug portion, which is a big mistake. I had one client who never did purchase her Part D drug. When I met her, she was 80 years old, and she had never purchased her drug portion, and she was really healthy. But then one day she had a heart attack. And after the heart attack, she had some heavy duty medication that she was assigned. And so she said, "Hey, I think I need to sign up for this, the drug insurance now." Well, number one, she can only do that at a certain time of the year. It wasn't that time of the year, so she wasn't able to sign up for it then. And number two, because of the penalties put on her for never signing up for the drug plan, the premium for that drug plan would have been so high that it was actually better for her just to pay for the drugs out of pocket. and,
Right.
they were very, very expensive. One of the key things that people don't think about when they go on Medicare is drug portions and their plan. How does that work? They need to kind of look at their plan every year and review it with their agent, or go to the Medicare.gov sign and try to figure out how to see how their plans change for the next year. I had one client just last week, and he said, he called me up and he said, "Hey, the drug that that I'm on, that you signed me up with this insurance company 3 years ago, and you said this drug wouldn't cost anything." He said it didn't cost anything until last month, and now it's costing me almost $60 a month for this medication. And I said, I said, "Jim, 3 years ago when I signed you up on this plan, we talked about it and we said we needed to review this every year. I call you every year and you don't want to review the plan. And this is the reason why." So I looked at this medication, and it turned out that the insurance company has not even put that drug on their formulary anymore. They've taken it off of their drug formulary. So now his drug isn't even covered, and he's paying full price for the drug every time he goes into the pharmacy. He thinks that the insurance just raised the price, but it's the fact that the insurance isn't even covering that drug anymore. So you need to get with your agent every year and check to make sure that that the coverage, especially in the Part D medication, is up to date, and that you have the best coverage. another example of that is that just last year, the end of the year, Blue Shield decided that for this year, they were going to cut costs on a bunch of diabetic drugs. So drugs that could cost you thousands of dollars during the year, they decided that they were going to lower the cost to like maximum of $600 for the entire year. I think there's one drug that's like $30,000, and they just slashed all the prices. Now, if you hadn't checked with if you're a diabetic and you hadn't checked with your plan, even if you're on a diabetic plan, the Blue Shield plan cuts the cost so low that, on all these drugs that it probably in almost every instance, it was the lowest cost. And people I know that today are still paying, a co-price of $500 a month or so for some of these high-end diabetic drugs, and they could have saved themselves a lot of money this year. All it would have taken was a phone call. You could do it over the phone with an agent, and they will look it up for you and make a recommendation if you need to change policies. Right. It's not that hard.
Sure. Well, I mean, the hardest part for anybody, I think, whether it's in my business or it's your business, is just, it's a level, you've got to find somebody that you can trust, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
That everything else, the price of something is irrelevant if you're not getting the right information. And you need to trust the person that's giving you that information. And folks, I can't tell you, words can't describe enough to you how much I trust this man right here. Jim and I have known each other now going on 4.5 years. We see each other every week. And he's just been a rock solid human being. And any information I've ever gotten from him has been, just super helpful. And I've seen him go out of his way to help many friends and clients of mine. So I encourage you, I'm going to put Jim's number, his information at the bottom of this screen. Is there anything else you'd like to say in parting, Jim?
Yeah, I would. A few years ago, financial industries discovered the phone tree. And so I don't know if you've ever tried to call a financial institution like a bank or an insurance company or a mutual fund company or anything like that.
Especially nowadays with coronavirus.
You can't get a hold of anybody.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
So please, almost the number one reason for getting an agent and having somebody that you can trust is you can call them on the phone and they can cut through that phone tree and get to the back office and take care of problems that you can't take care of. I mean, I had a client, I have clients call me every day. I had a client call me this morning. He said, last year I went to a specialist and, I gave them my card, they were supposed to take care of everything. They sent me a bill today. Got a bill in the mail from this guy, the insurance only paid for part of it,
Wow.
So I had him send me a copy of the invoice. I'm going to take care of it for him, make sure that it's, it's all said and done. Otherwise, he's going to have to call the number on the back of his insurance card, and get in the phone tree and then wait for 30 minutes to talk to somebody. And then, if he gets disconnected, then he's going to have to call again.
Well, especially when you're my age.
Yeah.
When you're my age, 10 minutes into the call, I forgot who I called.
Oh my gosh, when some of these companies, you call them and they'll have like a message before they even do the phone tree, and this message goes on for like 30 seconds, and then it's a dial 1 for this, dial 2 for that, and then you dial that, and then they dial this for that,
Right.
They're in places like, Lexington, Kentucky, and Omaha, Nebraska, and stuff like that, and and you can't like walk in the door and say, hey, what's going on?
Exactly.
I'm not driving to Omaha. I'm sorry.
Which is a great point as to why somebody would want to do business with you, because you are local and they can always get a hold of you. So those are all super great points.
You can text me, you can call me, you can email me. It's
smoke signals. Jim will answer all of them.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Jim. And folks, like I said, I'm going to put Jim's information down there. Please, please reach out to him, especially if you're even nearing retirement age. And then also feel free to call me, okay?
Yeah, thank you for letting me get my message out.
Of course. Everybody stay safe, okay?
Okay,
And
you too, Bear.
stay safe, stay healthy, and most of all, be empathetic, because there's a lot of people doing worse than us out there, right?
I know. It is.
Okay.
It's true.
Cheers.